Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Motivation Unleashed. Have you ever wondered why you might not be progressing in your life? Do you feel like you're stuck? Perhaps it's with a dead end job, or perhaps you feel like you're going to the gym and you're doing all the right things, but you can't progress in your physical fitness. Perhaps you feel like you're stuck in your relationships, or it could be any other area in your life where you feel like you just can't make progress. There's a very valid fundamental reason which might be contributing to this, and you'll be surprised. It's actually to do with your comfort zone and how comfortable you are with your life, especially when you go through your day-to-day doing your normal routine, right? So today I'm going to help you understand why it's important for us to not always be comfortable doing our day-to-day. It could be your job, it could be your relationships, it could be your physical fitness, it could be your business, it could be anything, right? It's important that we need to understand that being comfortable actually might be hindering our progress. So stay tuned to today's episode, and I look forward to talking you through this topic today. So without much further ado, let's start talking about what comfort is. Alright, so let's start first and foremost understanding what comfort is. Comfort to us is not dealing with a situation where you're dealing with some kind of mental stress or physical exertion, or it might even be something we are feeling constant anxiety. So those are the situations which is kind of the opposite of comfort, right? Because you might be dealing with something which is unfamiliar. You might be dealing with something which is new to you, right? So which essentially is no longer comfortable to you or in that situation. So comfort is a good example for this would be our house, our living room, our couch, our comfortable clothes, watching TV, sitting down and watching TV. All those things are comfortable, right? So, and they deal with comfort where our mind is free. We are not dealing with any form of stress or unknowns. So as human beings, we enjoy being comfortable. We like being comfortable. I mean, obviously nobody wants to be in an uncomfortable situation all the time, right? A few examples of this would be, let's say you go to the gym and you start working out. You might be doing like 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups. You start off, and in the beginning, it's not a comfortable situation. Your body might be sore because you've never done that in your life before. But over time, your body catches up, your muscle strength improves, and before you know it, you're smashing out that 20 push-ups and sit-ups in no time, right? And it becomes comfortable to you. So another definition of comfortable is that you're familiar with it. It's not an unknown. It's not something which creates anxiety. So that is what comfortable or comfort zone means. So my question to you is living in your comfort zone a good or a bad thing? So would you be surprised if I told you that living in your comfort zone is actually hindering your progress? You might be looking at me and asking, why? I mean, why should I not be comfortable in my life? And yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, you need to be comfortable in your life from time to time. But remember, it shouldn't be all the time, and it shouldn't be with everything you do. So let me take a small example for this. Let's take your job as an example. Let's say that you've joined this company, you've worked for a few years, you're going through the motions, you already know the job inside out, you know the people, you know all the situations you need to deal with, and you're very, very comfortable in that role, right? So 1 year, 2 years goes by, and eventually, and this is the majority of people, it'll be a situation where you're like, this is boring. What's next for me? What am I going to do from here? Right? And there are a certain degree where there's certain people who are actually happy doing the same thing over and over again. But that's a minority, that's not a majority, right? For most of us, we like progress. And when we don't get progress, we get bored or we feel stuck in our lives. We feel like, we are going nowhere. And that's human nature. As human beings, we want to progress in our lives and all areas of our lives. Not just, not just our job. It could be our business. It could be our finances, our own, the things we own. We always strive to own more things, better things, right? So we as human beings, we need progress. So if we go back to that example of that job, as long as you are comfortable in that job and you're just doing the same thing over and over again, you're really not going to make progress. Let's take that same scenario again and put in this new person who joins the company. Within a year, you see that he's progressing, he or she is progressing really fast through the ranks, and before you know it, you might be reporting to that person, and you've been in the company longer than that person, right? So why does this happen? It's because that person will most likely be pushing themselves. They might be taking on the first job, they really focus on it, they ace it, and they're like, they go back to their bosses or their managers and say, hey, you know what? Is there anything more I can do? Is there anything more how I can contribute to this business? Right? So that makes a difference. They're like, oh, this guy's hungry. This guy actually wants to do something. So maybe they give that person some responsibility. And then, that person might be like, oh, this is new. This is challenging. So, there might be a bit of struggle, understanding that new role, dealing with maybe a different segment of people and all of those things, right? But eventually that will also become comfortable to that person, right? So, and then, that person might be striving and trying to do something more, pushing themselves more. So it's important to understand, right? You need to, in order for us to progress, we need to keep consistently pushing ourselves. And there's no way around it. It could be same with the physical fitness part of it. If you go to the gym and you're doing 20 push-ups every day because you're comfortable, you're not really going to make progress, right? You're going to be stuck in the same place. You need to keep pushing yourself. If you're doing 20 push-ups, you might do that for 2 weeks. And then you need to move on to the next one and then start doing 30 push-ups, You always have to keep pushing, right? You always have to keep pushing to reach that next level. Because if you don't keep pushing yourself and if you don't step outside your comfort zone, you're going to be stuck in the same place. And that's going to be the overall long-term impact to your life. And I don't think none of us really want that, right? We all want to progress. So we need to understand that living in our comfort zone over the long term can have a very negative impact in your life. And again, don't get me wrong. There might be some people out there who are saying, no, you know what? I'm happy doing the same thing I'm doing every day. But yeah, that's fine. But always understand there's a price to pay. Even when you don't progress or you're happy doing the same thing, you're paying a price. And that price might be your time, the opportunity, right? There are so many things at play here. So it's important to understand, being in your comfort zone can have negative impacts in your life. So my key message to you here is that you need to consistently keep pushing yourself in any area of your life where you want progress, right? So let me give you an example about myself. I'm originally from Sri Lanka and I migrated to Melbourne, Australia back in 2016. So when I made that decision to move, I was already having a very comfortable life. I was doing well in my career. I had, all my friends and family, I had that support network. I had people to do things for me. Life was good. I was living in a beautiful island, having a good life. And then, due to certain reasons, certain situations in the country, I decided, I had a daughter back then, and, I decided, what, I'm going to make a move. I'm going to migrate to Australia. And I actually got the opportunity to do that. So I made the move. And it was really interesting, right? I all these things I had built up over time, my career, the possessions I had, the cars, the houses, everything. I got, I sold them. I got rid of them within 2 months. I let go of a job which I loved. I let go of a few things which was very close to me, a few material possessions. My 4-wheel drive, all those things. I let it go, and it's a very humbling experience, right? And it's amazing. Sometimes the things we consider important in our lives is not really what's important. But yeah, I was completely out of my element doing all those things. So I move countries, with a suitcase in my hand, a few dollars to my name. I move countries, and it's a clean slate. So I land in Melbourne, Australia, and it's a clean slate for me. Everything's new. Driving is new. The road rules are different. Going to a shop and buying things, or going to a supermarket and purchasing items, it's a different experience. Talking to people, interacting with people is a different experience. The culture is different. Um, Everything I was comfortable doing back home seems like a challenge, seemed like completely new. Finding a place to stay, right? All those things completely pushed me out of my comfort zone. I didn't have that support network I had back at home, right? So I was literally on my own. I was lucky enough to have one or two friends, but there's only so much friends can do to help you, right? You're pretty much on your own. When you move countries and you don't have anyone here, you're on your own, right? And even things like finding a job, I couldn't find a job. I've been in the corporate industry. By the time I moved, I had been in the corporate industry for close to 20 years, and I couldn't find work. So I was looking around. I literally ended up walking in shopping centers with CVs in hand looking for jobs because I couldn't find any. And I eventually landed a job in retail, but then I'd never worked in retail before. So it was again a completely different experience to me, dealing with end customers, dealing with the culture, understanding the business, the processes within that store. And then I had all these targets, and there was a lot of pressure to sell. And I was trying to figure out, how do I get my family over here? How do I set myself up? There were so many things going on, and I was completely outside my element. It was really challenging, a lot of pressure. And there was a time, and don't get me wrong here, there was a time I actually considered giving up and going back. But I kept pushing myself. And eventually, things worked out. Things started falling into place, and the uncomfortable became comfortable. And I continue to grow. So I've been in the country for 6-7 years now, and when I look back at my life, I realize how much I have progressed. It's amazing. It's really amazing what you can do when you push yourself. And even now, whenever I feel comfortable in doing anything, like especially when it comes to my career, my jobs, my physical fitness, I always keep pushing myself. I always go up to my, if it's my job, I always go up and keep asking the business, what more can I do? How can I contribute? I know I can do more. And then I get responsibilities, and then I start delivering on it, and then I grow, and then I progress. So it's the same with my physical fitness. I'm into martial arts. The way I keep pushing myself there is I keep grading each year. Each grading is different. Each grading is more physically demanding. Each grading requires you to, master your technique, understand more combos, physically exert yourself. The fitness components keeps increasing as you progress through the ranks. So, those are just few of the examples of why you need to keep pushing yourself, right? So just understand that in your life, you really need to keep pushing yourself. And some people might not agree with me, but I know there's a majority of people out there who want to succeed and who want to progress, right? So if you're someone who is hungry and you want to, move on to that next thing and grow yourself, financially, from your family, your job, you want to feel, you want to build up a brand, if you're working in industry, building up a brand for yourself, none of that is easy. All those things take time, and they take a lot of work, and you need to keep constantly pushing yourself. And the only way to push yourself is to do something which you've never done before, which means that you have to push yourself outside your comfort zone in order to keep growing and in order to keep moving forward, right? So yeah, I think that is all I want to cover in today's topic. So I really hope you found it useful, and I hope that the time you spent listening to me actually, gives you some value and some key takeaways. So I hope if you enjoyed this content, please continue. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm also on socials, on Instagram, on TikTok. My handle is at motivated.unleashed. And yeah, I look forward to bringing more content and more topics, which are close to my heart, especially which is helpful to you and which I feel will help you progress through your lives in order to achieve success and greatness. So thank you very much again for listening to my topic today, and I wish you all the best of luck. So until I talk again, stay motivated and unleash the potential of your mind. Take care, guys.